Good afternoon. I am Mayor Eric Adams, and I'm joined here by members of the Police Department, Commissioner Sewell, First Deputy Commissioner Caban, and a longtime advocate on behalf of police officers, the Union President of the PBA, Pat Lynch. We are truly happy but angry. We're happy to see that Keith, after performing a duty late last night, resting to start another day tour while in his car, was struck by a bullet. We're happy when I sat down and visited him in his room. I reminded him that sometimes it's a good thing to have a hard head like Pat Lynch and Eric Adams, because the doctors did an amazing job, and we want to thank Dr. Sharma and Dr. Greenfield for doing an amazing job to ensure that this officer received the best medical care as possible. And as I looked at Crystal, his wife, I knew that this could have turned out differently. I knew that a bullet, when it strikes an individual, it does not stop its path. It continues to rip apart the anatomy of a family and a community. We must not only find the gun, but we must find the person who discharged the weapon, and we must find those who believe they're going to destroy our city with gun and gang violence. That is not going to happen. That bullet struck Keith, but it could have struck any person or individual that was walking through the streets. And I am clear on my mission to aggressively go after those who are carrying violent weapons in our city. And I'm going to be undetermined and aggressive by doing so. The commissioner and I and this team of law enforcement personnel across the city, mission one is to deal with the gun violence in our city. You don't start bringing in the new year with bringing in violence. It's unacceptable. And I made that clear on the campaign trail, and I'm going to live it out as the mayor of the city of New York. We will find those who are carrying guns, and we will make sure that they are removed off our streets. This is a horrendous act that took place. To have a shooting of this magnitude while resting to go back to perform duties to protect our city. And so I'm here with the department and the people of this city that are concerned about the overproliferation of guns in our city. We're tired of the continuous violence that are being perpetrated by a number of people who believe we're going to live in a state of disorder. We're not going backwards. We're not going to live in a state of violence, in a state that gun violence is a normality in the city of New York. And so I want to turn it over to the police commissioner and then Pat Lynch, and we will open to any questions that you may have at this time. Both the commissioner and I communicated with the family, as it is important to do so now, to show that we're here with this family and the two beautiful children that they have, to make sure that he receives the proper support he needs with our agency. Commissioner?
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to give you some specific details about the incident. I will say that we are lucky, fortunate, and grateful on this New Year's Day. Our officer ended his tour at approximately 2:30 a.m. after working 8 hours at a New Year's Eve event in Central Park. Having to return to work for his next tour that began at 7 a.m. today, the officer decided to rest in his personal vehicle that was parked in the lot of the 2-5 precinct. At about 6:15 a.m., the officer woke up and realized his rear window was shattered and that he felt pain to the left side of his head. As he exited his vehicle to make his way into the precinct to get assistance, An on-duty sergeant who was outside of the building entrance observed blood coming from the officer's head. He immediately rendered aid, and an ambulance was called. The officer was then rushed here to New York Presbyterian Hospital, where he underwent surgery that determined he has a fractured skull. During that surgery, bullet fragments were also removed from his wound. Fortunately, the officer, who is a 7-year veteran with this department, is now recovering from his injury. At the 2-5 precinct, a crime scene was established. We have a picture where you can see where the round penetrated his vehicle. I stress to you, this is an ongoing investigation. As of now, we know that there were no other 911 calls for gunfire in that area during the time, and none of the members of the precinct who were outside at that time heard gunshots. Detectives are continuing to canvass the area and are continuing to look for video. Once again, on this New Year's Day, we are grateful that our officer is recovering, as we know this could have been a very tragic outcome. I also truly believe this incident underscores that there are far too many guns out there in the wrong hands and too many people willing to fire those weapons. And that is something we intend to tackle head on. This is also an example of how our department is facing the challenges of COVID-19. Our courageous officers are relentlessly doing everything they can to make sure that cops are on the street and here for New Yorkers, including taking a short rest in their cars between tours when their days off are canceled. We had the opportunity to see and talk with this officer, and we could not be more pleased that he is doing well. I want to thank the staff here at New York Presbyterian, Dr. Greenfield and Dr. Greenfield. We could not be more pleased that he's recovering. I'll turn it over to Pat Lynch. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mayor. I think what this morning shows us is the magnitude of the issues and problems that we face. It shows that there's a willingness for perps to carry guns and use those weapons. It shows that we have to support our police officers on a regular basis. So it shows the magnitude of the problem, but it also shows the dedication of our police officers, the willingness to go out and do that job, the willingness to celebrate with our communities last night and keep them safe the best we can during a busy night as police officers, to a point where, because there's not enough of us, we have to sleep in the car in the parking lot of the station house, but they're willing to do that. It also shows us the dangers that police officers faced always in a precinct parking lot, and nonetheless was still shot. But I also think this gives us an opportunity. It gives us an opportunity now to sit down and realistically look at the issues that we face. New administration, both in the police department and City Hall, and the union's willingness to sit down and have real discussions on how we can solve these problems, not only for my members, but for each and every one of you in the neighborhoods as well. So if jointly we have a real discussion, sometimes a debate, and I think if we do that realistically, we can then bring the City Council and our state legislators together to say, let's fix this problem once and for all. I believe that we can if we have that real dialogue. We do that hard work. We have a willingness to do it. The police officers are ready, willing, and able to continue the renaissance we once saw in this city. It's time we start that renaissance again, and I think we're ready to do it.
As it stands now, we have no reason to believe that's under investigation. We can't really say that at this point whether or not he was targeted. It appears that the bullet was fired from a significant distance away. It's hard to tell who the intended target was, if any. But let me say this, there are no stray bullets. There is someone firing that weapon, and we will intend to try to locate that person if possible. That's under investigation at this time. I won't do it at this point. We'll look into that later. I'm not going to release it at this time. I can yield to the medical staff or the doctor to answer that question a little bit better.
He sustained a gunshot wound to the head, and it was miraculously deflected, and he's going to make a full recovery. He was hit in the temple, and the bullet was deflected partly by the window or his skull, and it did not do the damage it might have done. It missed vital structures by millimeters.
Why was it important that we came here? Well, I will always be here if I can when an officer is injured. It's important that we're here to show the support and to show the people that we will not tolerate gun violence in this city. So I'm here for my officer. He is my primary concern, but I certainly want to make sure people are aware that we're tackling this head on.
And, one moment. Hold on, 'cause that's an important question. I'm here because, number one, for the officer and his family, but there's a lot of uncertainty in the city. And there's a lot of things we don't know, but we're not going to be unclear who's the mayor of this city and who has the primary obligation to make this city safe. There's going to be a clear message that this is not going to be a city of disorder. This is not going to be a city of violence. And I'm going to be on the forefront with this commissioner and this department to make sure our city is not a violent city. And wherever we need to show up to send not only the substantive things, but the symbolic things, that this city is returning from the violent past to a place that's safe to raise our children and families. We have a staffing issue from COVID and a host of other things that we must address. But that bullet was not discharged by a person that was dealing with staffing. It was discharged by a violent person that we must identify, arrest, and make sure that he is incarcerated and not out the next day. And so I'm not giving anyone an excuse because they discharged a bullet because of COVID or the lack of police officers. That person discharged the bullet because he's violent or she's violent, whoever did it.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. So this is what I could tell you, and this is very, very preliminary. It's six hours old. We have an officer who moves his car. We know he's parked in the, through video surveillance at the precinct. He moves his auto at 3:49 in the morning to the spot where his window was then later shattered. At 6:15, he is awoken through rain coming through and pain in his head. He walks and sees a sergeant outside the precinct. They walk back and they then find the deformed bullet in the car. At this point, my detectives still have a lot of work to do out there. We're looking for video canvas in the area. We're looking for rooftops. We're canvassing the rooftops for any ballistics evidence we might have. Any surveillance. There's a Metro North train station riding through there. So it's very preliminary. We're asking for anybody in the area, anybody assistance from the public, Crime Stoppers or Cop Shot. There's a $10,000 reward out there for this. So it's very, very preliminary. We don't have a motive. We know based on the video in the back parking lot, he's leaning back. He's in his driver's seat. He's reclined, and the bullet comes through and hits him in the head from the rear passenger window. That's what we have right now. No suspect at this time. Well, we don't. The video, we checked our shot spotters. We're going over. It's a shot spotter area. We are going over our shot spotters that we had in the area. We've seen none there. We also had officers in the back parking lot, also in their autos. We had a sergeant in front of the station house. The officer who was injured, nobody heard that shot. So that's something we're looking into. Again, very, very early in this investigation, and we'll update you as it continues.
I'm concerned about crime, the uptick in gun violence, gang violence. Every sentence you read about a shooting, the next sentence is gang-related. They are connected. My city is not out of control because we have the best police force on the globe. and we're going to maintain that with the proper support that they deserve. And we need to really remember the person who discharged that weapon, it struck a police officer. It could have injured any innocent person that was sitting in their car or a child playing or coming home from an event. And so the indicator of the crime problem we have is not simply that it struck someone that was parked in a police precinct. There's a total disregard by some New Yorkers that are violent. They are not concerned about the location. They believe our city is a place where violence is going to exist, and we're saying no to that.
Considering the staffing New Year's Eve, the dormitories in the 2-5 precinct were full that night, so he took the option of sleeping in his vehicle.